Ooh, hello. My name is Natasha Sharma, and I am a children's book author, and I have been extremely bored. Why? Well, here's the thing. I live in Mumbai, India. And if you live in India, or perhaps pretty much anywhere in the world right now, just like me, you're probably doing a very smart thing. You're staying home and staying safe to keep germs away from you and your family, which is what I hope all of you are doing. But, it has its challenges. It's nice to be at home, but being at home for a pretty long time with a husband, two teenagers, and a dog beyond a point can get fairly boring or a little too active, but definitely fairly boring. And while I was thinking these thoughts and thinking, well, oh God, between all the cooking and the cleaning and not being able to write too much, I am fairly bored now. My editor, Shobha, thought of something rather interesting. So Shobha is an editor at Karadi, and Karadi is a publisher who published this very brilliant book of mine. It's called Princess Easy Pleasy. It's brilliant because Priya did the most amazing illustrations for it, and it went on to win the Hindu Young World Good Books Best Illustrator Award for her in 2017. It's a really special book for me because it was inspired by my daughter. And when Princess Easy Pleasy, actually, let me show you the cover again, is a princess who looks anything but easy to please, I would assume. If you can see, she's sticking her tongue out here at the glass of milk. And what she does is that she's particularly fussy when she goes traveling with her parents. She's fussy about everything and anything you can think about. So here, when she goes to Hong Kong, she's fussing about the milk that is being given to her. And here, when she goes to China on a holiday, she's fussing about the delicious noodles that have been cooked for her. And she goes, yuck, and she goes, ew. And she goes to Singapore. If you look in the background, Priya has actually drawn a merlion there. When she goes to Singapore, she even fusses about the bed. Well, now I like to travel. And the princess really did like to travel, though she was fairly fussy. But now, just like all of us, she's stuck at home. And Shobha told me, what do you think the princess would be like if she was stuck at home? So that got me thinking. And the one thought that came to my mind was, she would be a fairly challenging little princess to keep busy. So I thought, here's what she would always be saying. She'd be saying, I'm so bored. So here's what I did for the first time in my life. I wrote a story in 2 days, and Karadi, being extremely brilliant as they are, took the illustrations from this book, put it all together in a completely different way, and we created a book specially for you, which is called Princess Easy Pleasy is Bored. And that's the plan. That's what I'm going to read to you today. And you can keep putting in your comments as I read along. I'm going to try and answer questions along the way. Take a whole bunch of them at the end if you'd like. And before I go on, I do want to tell you that midway through my reading, there is a very, very special appearance. Here's the hint of a four-legged creature, black and furry. I think you're going to enjoy watching that. So stay tuned for her. Another thing, if you see me do this, I'm going to try and manage the book and props and all these things on a Facebook and Insta Live. But if you see me do this, that means you have to say along with me, I'm so bored. Just don't put that in the comments because people will think that's bored seeing me. Put a thumbs up, put a like if you're enjoying it as we go along. Okay. And even more importantly, before I go along, because I know I will forget it at the end, I have a couple of requests already with me. Here's a shout out to Vanya. A very happy birthday. This little 5-year-old goes for lots of book readings, and I got a special message. So here's saying happy birthday, Vanya, to you. A message to say hello to Rehan from me and from your cousin Farah, and a very, very special hello and welcome to who I hope 2 little kids who will be sitting somewhere in Singapore and watching this, Javeer and Jia. So here goes. Already remember my little prompts. Okay, to begin. Princess Easy Pleasy is bored. Here we go. I'm so bored, said Princess Easy Pleasy. It's been an entire hour since I woke up. I've brushed and I've bathed, and there's nothing to do and nowhere to go. Her mother, the queen, said, well, if you help me make the bed, I promise I'll bounce on it with you, because the most fun thing in the world to do is to go bounce on a bed. Have you ever bounced on a bed? If you have, give me a thumbs up or say, yes, bouncing on beds is wonderful. So here's what I would do with my children when I go and I have a really bouncy bed to bounce on. I get my fists together like this and I go, bounce, bounce, bounce. So an hour later, because it does take some time if you begin for the first time with bouncing and making beds, an hour later, Princess Easy Pleasy had bounced on the bed with her mother, and the two had dusted and tucked and folded and made the bed. Princess Easy Pleasy stood to the side and said, "What? I'm so bored. There's nothing to do and nowhere to go. Let's make you a special lassi and parathas for breakfast today," said the chef. That is, if you think you're old enough to knead and roll and stir, because you're going to have to do all those things if you want to help me make parathas and lassi. So the princess went to the kitchen with the chef, and she got out the dough and put in the water just like the chef instructed her, and she kneaded and she got her hands all messy, and she was quite enjoying it along the way, and she kneaded and pressed and rolled, and she took the lassi, she took the curd, and she put the sugar, and she stirred and stirred and stirred, and then she added some water, and she stirred and stirred and stirred more, and she had a little bit of lassi and a lot of dough and a lot of atta all over her clothes, and at the end of it, she took her paratha and she sat and ate it. Yummy, yummy, yummy. And it had been 2 hours, and at the end of it, the princess was really full. Now, before I go on, here's a little thing. I want to show you the roti. Look, here's the roti I have. It looks nice and round, right? And if you ever come to my house, here's how to tell whether I have made the roti or whether the Didi in the house has made the roti. I am absolutely terrible at making rotis. I can never get a round roti like this. So my roti will probably have one ear sticking out here and a little bump here, and it'll probably be a little burnt here. My rotis are terrible. But you can definitely try this at home. You can try making a roti, you can try making lassi, you can try making lemonade or one of these things at home with your parents, just like the princess did. Well, 2 hours later, by which time it was almost close to noon and it was almost like a brunch, Princess Easy Pleasy had kneaded and stuffed and rolled and roasted and whipped and tucked into parathas and lassi, and she was rather full. And then she said, when she sat there, "I'm so bored. There's nothing to do and nowhere to go." And just then, the groomer walked in and he said, "Oh, our poor little princess, she's so bored." He suggested, "Perhaps we can go and bathe the dogs and groom the horses together. Do you think you'd like that?" It's really, if you like messing around with water and soap and brushes and towels, and now, really, who doesn't like messing around with water and soap and all those things? So the princess went running along, and 2 hours later, Princess Easy Pleasy had bubbled and scrubbed and dried and brushed and cuddled and cleaned and had the loveliest, sniffiest, lovely smelling dogs there could ever be, and the most shiny horses around. And then the princess stood up. But before this, I have to tell you something really special. Now, if you have a pet at home, you have a dog or perhaps a cat. I don't know if cats like to be washed and bathed. Dogs sometimes do, they aren't the most happy. But if you have a pet at home, Here's definitely an idea. You can probably help your mother and father bathe your dog. Remember the four-legged, furry, black special appearance I told you about? Well, stay tuned. She's just about to make an appearance. Before that, I must tell you, I bathe her very often. That's her shampoo. That's a special doggy shampoo, and it says oatmeal and aloe because she has a very allergic skin. And just like you and me, dogs have to brush their teeth. So that's her toothpaste. It has a little doggy on it, and it says mint toothpaste so that she smells nice and minty. And just like you and me, she has a toothbrush that I brush her teeth with. That long, and it's two-sided, so I can really get to the back of her mouth. And just like you and me, she has a hairbrush. That's a hairbrush and a little washcloth, and she has a much larger towel. But I think that's enough of an introduction for her things. Don't you want to see her? How many of you want to see her? Let's take a look and see if we can get Molly here. Molly, would you like to make an appearance for us? She's wondering what the fuss is about, but give me a minute and I will be back. That is my Molly, who's got this lovely little mohawk. Molly came to us a little, 2 months ago. My God. So she came to us 2 months ago. If you want to give a little wave to Molly, please feel free to put it in your comments below. I'd love to see them. And Molly would be really happy. Molly, here's a little wave. Can you see? I can see Ekta, and I can see Achus, and I can see many people, Sonia and Daya and Anisha and Tanya Gupta. Hello. That's Molly waving out to you. And Molly, every afternoon and evening, gets a little hair brush. What I like to do is brush her little hair like this and give her a little side flick at times. We put a little clip on her, which she absolutely detests. Hello, Ekta. Hello, Karadi. Hello, Gita, I think. So I am going to try and get Molly back to my lap at the end of this reading. But for now, Molly, can I put you back down here? Okay. So now, 2 hours later, it was 2 in the afternoon. And the princess had bathed and all those things to her dog and her horse. And she was back to being bored. What did she say? I'm so bored. There's nothing to do and nowhere to go. The king, who had been looking at her all through this time, said, well, what else can the princess possibly do to keep herself busy? She's helped her mother make the beds, and she's helped the chef in the kitchen cooking paranthas and making lassi, and she's helped the groomer bathing the dogs and grooming the horses. So what else can this little princess do? Let me see if she can help me now. So here's what he said. He said, let's clear stuff. The best thing to do if you have a lot of time on hands, let's clear stuff and make some lists, said the king. That is, if you think you are clever enough to write it all down for me, because I have many, many, many lists to make, and possibly you have a lot of lists to make as well. Now, here's the thing. Princess Easy Pleasy actually loved making lists. She wasn't too fond of clearing up, but she loved making lists. So 3 hours later, by which time it was 5 p.m. in the evening, Princess Easy Pleasy had sorted and tidied and made lists. And here's the list that she made. She made lists of groceries and chocolates in the fridge and to-dos for the week and for the month. She made lists about the colors of all the pens that she has the size of paper clips in her box, her hair clips, all the different kinds that she had and sizes. She sorted them out. She sorted out the jewelry and made lists about them. And she made an extra special list for all her tiaras. She'd even made packing lists for summer wear and winter wear when they could finally travel, which is all what we are waiting for, that hopefully in a few weeks or perhaps a few months, we'll be able to travel and meet family and move around a lot more freely. For now, we're at home. So Here are some of the lists that the princess has been making. She made this list, of which she ticked off a lot of things. So every time she would finish something, she would cross it off. And she made a list, which is a meal planner. She was helping her mother make that. So they had fried egg for breakfast and paneer matar roti for lunch and tacos for dinner and oat porridge and dosa sambar and rajma chawal, which is one of my favorites. If you have a favorite of what you like to eat, you can put it down in the comments there. And she made a list even of jewelry. Yeah, remember I told you? And hair clips and rubber bands in the kind of colors she has, and definitely of her tiaras. So she had 2 with red stones, 3 with white stones, 2 with butterfly designs, 1 with a unicorn horn tiara, which must be really special, 1 with a peacock feather design, and so on and so forth. So once they were done, the princess put aside her pen, put down the list, and then she said, I'm so bored. There's nothing to do and nowhere to go. Whatever shall we do? My goodness, I have no clue what I should do. The king and queen said, ooh, how about we read a nice book together? So that's a brilliant idea. That's a perfect thing to do when you are not bored and you have nowhere to go. So for 2 hours, the king and queen sat with the princess and read her books. Do you like your parents reading books to you? If you do, give me a big thumbs up, because that's one thing I love doing with my children. And my children now, luckily enough, like reading books all the time. Okay. So 2 hours later, when the princess had a lot of fun, and every time she would finish a book, many of them she would tell the king and queen, again, can you please read this to me again? So the king and queen read her one story, and they read it to her again, and then they said, well, princess, you've been so entertained. Are you happy now? And the princess said, well, you stopped reading books, haven't you? Well, now I'm so bored. I have nothing to do and nowhere to go, and whatever shall I do? It was by now, they'd been reading for 2 hours. So by now, it was 7 in the evening. It was pretty late. And the king and queen said, our impossible imp. Our impossible imp. But will you look at that? Look at the time, will you? It's almost time for bed. We've got to brush and bathe and change into our pajamas with just enough time to read one final bedtime story. So the princess brushed and bathed and changed into her pajamas and got her bedtime story, which of course has to be Princess Easy Pleasy. And then they read the book, and a few minutes later, the princess smiled sleepily and let out the biggest yawn you possibly could imagine, going, oh. And then she said, wasn't that a fun day? See, I didn't let any of you get bored. And that's the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed that reading. If you'd like to read the book, Karadi is putting up a free ebook on their website. So you just need to go to karaditales.com and you will find the ebook there where you can go through it. You can read it again, because it's always fun to read books again together. And do leave in comments. If you're seeing it right now, or if you're seeing the rebroadcast, if you have questions, I will try and reply to them. I think we have a little bit of time. So if you would like to ask me any questions at all about the inspiration behind stories, or about writing, or about Molly, or anything, hello. I have a lot of people saying, hello, Molly. Thank you for saying hello to her. There's Preet and Aarti and Purnima and Bhumika. Hello, all of you. Thank you for being here. And I hope you enjoyed the reading. And if you'd like any of your friends to see it and you think that they weren't able to make it here right now, you can tag them. It's going to be up on my post for a while. I will also, starting Monday, be starting something really fun for an entire week, April 6th to the 12th. I'll be doing snack time, story time, with all my picture books. So you can log in at the same coordinates, tell your friends about it. I'll be reading a picture book every single day. And what I would really love for you to do is that come up with some of your ideas for your ways to keep yourself busy, your kids busy, and post them, send us photographs, put them on the comments below. Before I sign off, I actually forgot to tell you about this very special list that we put at the end of the ebook. It's called Let's Not Stay Bored list, because there really isn't any point about staying bored, you know. One of the things my mother told me when I had my two children, and they would often, even before we'd be stuck at home and being at home, keeping safe, my children would often say, I am bored. What should I do? I'm so bored. What should I do? And my mother would say, that's great, because mothers are always, they give you the best advice, however old you get. And I would say, really? How's it good? How's it good that my kids are so bored? And she said, well, if they stay bored, they will find ways to be creative. They will come out with ways to try new things, come up with new ideas. Boredom leads to creativity very often. You can help them along with some ideas. You could perhaps tell them, let's do some art and craft and see what kind of things they come up with. But I would like to, hello, I see Rihanna says hello. Hello, Rihanna. And I would like to tell you about two very special things that I have put in this list. So you'll find that there are some very sensible things to do, like reading lots of books, cooking something with your parents, just like Princess Easy Pleasy did. Perhaps you don't want to start with a roti, but you could try something simpler, like making lemonade or mixing together a bhel puri. But here's something I suggest you really try. Call a friend. You can do it over FaceTime or WhatsApp, or just call her up or him up. And this is something that I've actually done when I was in school with a very dear friend of mine. It sounds really crazy, but it was something I've never forgotten ever in my life. So I called and we spent, I think, at least 5 to 10 minutes, if not more, just talking to each other by making animal sounds. Like animal sounds, like poof, 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 meow, like that. And it was the most crazy conversation I've had. And back then, you probably don't know this now, most of you children growing up these days, but phone lines used to get cross-connected. So I could be talking to my friend and somebody else would end up being able to hear what I'm saying because the lines would get crossed. I never figured how that happens, but it used to happen. So the first thing we thought was, well, we really hope the lines get crossed right now, but because can you imagine somebody starting with this crazy thing? Okay. I don't know if I have a question here. I seem to, give me a minute. Okay. So Shreya asked, what inspired you to write this story? Well, the story really came about from the idea that if we are at home, even though that's the really smart thing to do, it is rather possible that we'd be bored. And I wanted to give children some ideas about what you can do to not get bored with all the things that you have around your home. And especially if you help your parents and actually realize that you can figure out lots of fun things to do in the kitchen and in the bedrooms and in different ways that you possibly have never tried before. So that was really the inspiration behind my story. And one last thing that I would like to suggest, I haven't tried it myself, but I think I'm going to try it tonight with my family. 15 minutes of fun movements with the family. Okay, so you can call it your family fun movement time. You have to find ways, each one of you, a different way to get across the different parts of the house. So some of you could be sliding across, some of you could be crawling across, some of you could be hopping, and you could keep mixing it up, play some music along the way. I'm pretty sure it'll be a lot of fun and good exercise and just a different way to end your day. I tend to do these crazy things with my family. So all the best, children. If your parents do it, I can promise you, you're all going to have a lot of fun together. So I'm going to sign off here, I think. And I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give me thumbs up, send some love, tag friends. It's going to be up on my Facebook page and on the Karadi's Facebook page. And perhaps in a few days, I'm going to try and put it up on my website. And as I said, share things that you might be doing, share ideas of how you're keeping your kids busy in the comments, all through, send us photographs, and just have fun, stay safe, and stay home. Thank you. Signing off here now. Bye-bye.